re-engage a customer if you haven't seen them or emailed them in a while? Sort of coming out of a winter season like we are in spring. Find out on this episode of Authentic Selling TV. If you have been in business for any amount of time, or if you've been calling on a corporate client for any amount of time, you're going to have times when things go sideways in your life. You know, whether it's a death in the family, like I had last year, or everybody gets sick in the family, like I had last year, or everybody's in the hospital, like I had last year, and they all hit at one time. You know, there are times when your family needs you, or you're too ill to show up. And let's just talk about the elephant in the room here, because there are also times when your motivation is in the tank. Like sales reps who are going face to face, knocking on doors. I know there are days when you're like, I can't even get in my car or out of my car. I can't do it today. Listen, there are days when you wake up and you feel like how I would imagine Beyonce feels, like the queen of the world. I don't know if she feels like that or not. Beyonce's not calling me or anything, but she, at least when she's Sasha Fierce, she looks like she feels like the queen of the world. And then there are days when getting out of bed is a win. I tell Hallianna this all the time. Today, our win is not, making 100 on that test. Today, our win is we went to school. And that's okay. But in a world, whether it's corporate or online, that demands that we are always up, like always be up, always be in a good mood, always be selling. It's like, that's not reality. And if you're like me, one of my top 5 strengths, according to Marcus Buckingham, is achiever. So I can start to really get into my mind crack, to quote Susan Hyatt, my limiting beliefs, when I'm not out there achieving, but I am just barely getting by. And one of the things, and you've probably heard me say this, but one of the things that I've learned to do is have grace with myself and say, yeah, I really screwed that up. Or, yep, I didn't get on that plane because I had a panic attack, and I am sorry, and I know I hurt your feelings, and I feel terrible about it, and I guarantee you don't feel worse about it than I do. And let's move on. I'm being dramatic. But anyway, the point is we have winter seasons in our business because we have winter seasons in our life. Now, let me tell y'all about winter season. You might be shocked by this if you don't know me too well, because I am extra extroverted, right? I mean, I'm like all jazz hands all the time. I am all extra all the time. But I love winter. Fall's my favorite season, but I love winter. And I love rainy days, and I love snowy days. And we do this thing in our house called cocooning. And we have like this love sack couch, which I love so much. And I love it because you just literally cocoon in it. My father hates it, by the way. But it like almost hugs you. And so I promise I'm going somewhere with this. So all of this in a winter season, people joke about putting on winter weight. I can do that with the best of them, but I like to cocoon. And even in the summer season, I like to turn the air down super low so I can put on a bunch of blankets. So the point is, as extroverted as I am, I can be a flat out hermit, y'all. I can cocoon, cover up with my blanket, watch my favorite Broadway show, watch an episode or 22 of my favorite show, and I love that. I can get to where it's so funny. Hallianna will be like, Mom, I don't want to get up, but for my mental health, I need to get up. And I'm like, oh, God, she's so much better than me because I passed a good, stable mental health place a long time ago, and I still don't want to get up. I love it. And there are times in our business when this happens. I remember saying to my team last year, yeah, the whole plan is I've got all these lives mapped out, and I physically can't press record. I'm not being a brat about it. I'm not being a baby about it. I know I need to do this, but I physically cannot do it. Now, that's an exaggeration because obviously I could have pressed record, but it was not going to be helpful for me to show up in that energy. So we have these times in our business that are like a winter season. Now, I've got to put a disclaimer in here because lots of people say, I only contact my list. I only contact the people that my audience, that's the word I'm looking for, when I feel inspired. There is a difference between only contacting when you're feeling inspired and being in a winter season. Because inspiration, if you're talking about true inspiration, it's special. It's not something that, if there are 365 days in the year, which I think there are, I don't know that you're inspired 200 days out of the year. I don't know. And that's in a regular season. That's not in a winter season. So I am not saying only do things when you're inspired. I'm not saying that everything has to be Pulitzer Prize winning copy. I am not saying you're going to make more sales by only putting out top-notch quality content. But I am saying it's okay, and it is going to happen, that life happens. That you feel like you just can't press record, or you have this series of things that happen, and I mean, you're just almost embarrassed to say, yeah, Halliana has 102 fever again, after my granddaddy's been in the hospital, after we've had a death in the family, after I had COVID for 24 days. I mean, there's just so much going on. It's like, really, what is happening? So when those times happen, I've done both. I've pushed through, and I have also gone into a winter season where I didn't communicate with my audience, or with you all. Community. Audience, no. Community. So there's something to be said for both sides of these. There's something to be said for pushing through. The first year I did YouTube videos. It was called KTV. Yeah, I'm sure I copied that from Marie TV. I was new. Forgive me. It was called KTV. And I did not miss an episode. Every week, I recorded my own video. I edited my own video, if you can call it that. And when we were done with that year, I was so freaking burned out. It's like, I can't do this again. I did, but I pushed through. If you can find the grace to not push through when you're in a winter season, extend it to yourself. Extend it to yourself. Even if you're in the middle of a launch. I mean, y'all, we were supposed to open the cart. I don't remember the date, but my aunt, who was just turned 90, who is the most important person in my life outside of my immediate family, died unexpectedly. And I was like, I just can't. But it doesn't have to be as dramatic as someone dying. It could just be, I am in a season of life where I'm a grouch right now. Where I am in a season of life where I need to go into winter. I need to go underground and get warm and cocoon and put on some winter weight, whatever. So the question I always get asked is, or I get asked often, is how do I come out of that winter season? That's not the language you all use. You all say, I haven't emailed, like you do it with this sort of shameful, well, I haven't emailed my list in like 6 months. Okay. Not what we want to do in a normal time, but that's okay. So the question is, how do we come out of this winter season? Do we just start posting on social media again? Do we acknowledge what happened? And the answer to that is, it's up to you. You're the CEO of your business. There have been times when I've acknowledged, when I have said, look, this happened. I'm dealing with this. I am off today. Or I have been off for the past 6 months. And I apologize. I value you. I'm ready to plug back in. And there have been times when, you know what, you just start showing up, because the reality is people care about themselves, as wonderful as you are, and they may care about you, but very few people are sitting around saying, Kendrick didn't post on social media today. What's going on in her world? Very few people are doing that. So you can just start emailing again. You don't have to send this long email or this long social media post telling all the things that went wrong. So how do you come out of a winter season? Just like when the flowers start, like the perennials, or I'm not sure if they're called perennials, the things that bloom over and over and over, or the leaves, they just start budding out on a tree, right? You're like, oh, look, I see a little bit of green. Oh, I see the jonquils coming up. I don't even know if those are perennials, but whatever. I see the blooms coming back on flowers. I see the grass slowly starting to turn green. It wasn't like you noticed the first blade of grass that turned green, right? It's probably impossible to do that. But as a whole, you're like, oh, I'm noticing. The world is back. The grass is turning green. It's the same thing you notice in the fall. Oh, God, look at that tree. It's so orange. It's so red. It's so yellow. It's so vibrant. Did you notice the very first leaf? Probably not. So you just start. You just come out of the cocoon and you just start. Now, there's one more disclaimer here, which is sometimes it can be really hard to just start. And that's not what this video is about. This is not how do you pull yourself out of a winter season. That's probably a different video from a different person, because I am really good at staying in my lane. But as far as selling is concerned, you don't have to always give an explanation. There's an exception to this. If you're a face-to-face rep and your offices know every Monday you're here for Magnificent Monday and you're talking about your incredible product and you disappear, they're likely going to check on you. It happened to me walking down the street in New York City, and my office called and said, "It's Terrific Tuesday. Where are you?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm in New York. I forgot to tell you. Sorry." I wasn't in a winter season. I was in a happy season. So you get to use your guardrail and your best judgment on how much of your personal life you share and on how much of the winter season you share. Use common sense here. But you don't have to give 14 hours of an explanation. Nobody cares that that first blade of grass is turning green. They care about the whole yard is starting to turn green. So get back in there, be of service, give advice. And if you can take that winter season and turn it into a teachable moment, then do that. Because people love teachable moments. They love vulnerability. They love it when you say, I messed up here, here's what I learned, here's how you can avoid making the same mistake. Now, if you want some inspiration for how to come out of winter seasons with your sales, ring the bell below, because that's what we do here. We teach you how to find and close more customers so you can make more money without being icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, crusty, musty, rusty, dusty. I need video of all of y'all saying icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, crusty, musty, rusty, dusty. I promise you, if you all record yourself with your phones or whatever, just saying icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, crusty, musty, rusty, dusty. We try to do it real fast. Icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, crusty, musty, rusty, dusty. If y'all record that and send it in a Dropbox file to AuthenticSelling@KendrickShope.com, we'll do something fun with it. Okay? So ring the bell. And no matter what season you're in, I believe in you and I believe in your business. Bye, y'all.